All right, everybody. We are back for the next off-season cycle here. We are here today with Ava Brand. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing well. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, what kind of got you into sports in the first place? And then were you always a fan just growing up of football, any sport?
Yeah, I was always a fan growing up. I played a lot of sports and then just have always kind of been geared towards working and the content and reading, writing about sports. So when my time came to kind of stop playing, it was a fun way to stay involved in the community and just enjoy it from a different perspective. So yeah, kind of got involved my senior year of high school, started to do our video announcements there, and then I went to USC. So in college, got more hands-on experience covering the football team there and everything from basketball, water polo, women's lacrosse, a little bit of everything. And yeah, have just kind of continued to work at it.
That's awesome. And then is there any particular moments, being at USC with all those great sports programs that you look back on and are like, wow, that was really cool to be like there and like watch or be a part of?
Yeah, I think the one that stands out to me, I think it was my junior year was when Lincoln Riley got hired. So that was kind of like a standout moment. Just going to that press conference at the Coliseum was really cool. I think it was like a Monday. I had a class during that time, but I let my professor know I was not going to be present because I was like, I got to go to cover this. So we got an excuse. It was all good. But that was one moment that was really cool. And then my senior year was Caleb Williams' Heisman year, which was also fun to cover throughout that whole season and all the way to the Pac-12 championship in Las Vegas, which USC lost, but still an incredible experience to be covering that whole season.
Yeah. And then for when you go to games, I know for me personally and for everyone's kind of different, like how fast do things have to move for you when you're at the game from, soon as the final quarter hits, like what are you doing immediately after?
Yeah, so most of my like in-game experience, I've done more of like the broadcast TV side of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess during the game, whether you're live tweeting or covering in that sort of way, but in terms of like writing a story after a game, I don't have as much experience doing that. I've done more broadcast stuff, so you're kind of scrambling, which I guess it's the same in this sense. You're scrambling to get interviews and head into the locker room and see what the coaches, players, and everything, and also kind of taking into note what the vibe of the locker room is after a win and loss. I think that also says a lot. So just feel like the last 5 minutes 5 minutes probably of the fourth quarter, you're kind of scrambling, and if it's a close game especially, then you're trying to get down to the press level and deal with like SoFi elevators, which can sometimes they work well but can be crowded. So that becomes a little bit of the mad dash.
Is there anything you've learned just from working in sports the past couple of years that it's helped you now in the future moving forward?
I think that being flexible, probably, because things can change so fast and so in such crazy ways that I think being flexible, you set yourself up for success because you're able to kind of, deal with the punches, good or bad, whichever way they go. You can go plan it like preparing and planning as much as you can, but also understanding that a plan is nice to have, but sometimes you may need to stray from it a little bit. And if you have, that hypothetical toolkit of yours, then you're kind of prepared for any situation.
Absolutely. And then do you ever just get to like go and experience a game as a fan these days, or are you just like, we're just locked in all the time?
No, I go sometimes as a fan, which is kind of nice. It's kind of funny too, because like I went with my dad to a Rams game last season, and it kind of leads to more conversations or questions. They're asking like, when does this happen? Why does this happen? Or like, what do you usually do here? But no, I still get to go as a fan and enjoy them as a fan.
I know. I went to the Bucks game this past season, and it was just like, even if I'm still there just trying to enjoy it, in my mind, I'm just thinking like what am I going to write about afterwards? Even though I was
that is sometimes funny. It's like you think of the storylines in your head, and you're like, if I was in the press conference, you could ask this or keep an eye out for this. But I guess it's kind of nice. You can just think about it. You don't have to
Yeah,
sometimes
you don't have to
do
do it.
it.
And then what would you say the overall vibe feels like just in LA sports in general? You got lots of winners. You got some like maybe okay teams, but I feel like we're doing pretty good right here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Dodgers are kind of setting the standard very high for a lot of the other teams, like back-to-back World Series champions and overwhelming favorites to three-peat, which is crazy. So I think they're setting the standard pretty high. Obviously, the Rams got close. I think the NFC Championship was clearly the two best teams left in the playoffs at that point. That was kind of obviously not the Super Bowl, but I think the two best teams more of the final competitive game we saw. So I think the Rams, especially with Matthew Stafford coming back, should be poised to. I think they're tied with the Seahawks right now for overall favorites to win the Super Bowl, which would be a Hollywood ending with it at SoFi Stadium. And then I expect the Chargers to be competitive too. And in terms of the other LA sports, I think the Lakers are a roller coaster again. I mean, they have some of the biggest names and they were good and then they're bad and then they're back. So I think they are underperforming for what fans expect.
Yeah,
Especially with
I feel like
Luka.
fans expect a lot just because of how teams
Fans
are.
definitely expect a lot, but I
Yeah.
think they're fifth or sixth in the Western Conference right now, and like they're not gonna be able to compete in a 7-game series with the Thunder or Spurs.
Absolutely. I always
Maybe
feel like in
Rockets, Nuggets.
general, like the general LA sports team consensus is like you need to have stars and you need to win like all the time.
Yeah, it's like they're good. They'll make the playoffs and they could win a series or two, but I think where things stand right now, they're not going to compete for a title.
I've seen so many things about I'm just like a casual basketball fan, so I just kind of like watch Lakers games every now and again. And I always see people just like, yeah, go after Giannis this offseason, and like people just throwing out some crazy trade ideas for them. But
I know.
I feel like
think
they just kind of need to gel a little bit more. But I don't know. I don't know what's wrong.
Yeah, it's hard because like Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves have only played, I think, around not a ton of games, all three of them together. But when you look at the numbers when they are on the court together, it's some of the least productive lineups for the Lakers. So I don't know if that's timing or if it's just not working out for them, which that's kind of what I lean towards. I just think the way the roster is right now, it's still not. Luka's obviously the centerpiece they want to build around. And I think Austin Reeves is a huge part of that. But in terms of the rest of the team, I think it's not ideal.
Who knows? Moving on a little bit towards the Rams, do you feel like they kind of need to go all in here for this next season? Because Matthew Stafford's only under contract until 2027. Devontae Adams too. I feel like this is like an all or nothing kind of year coming up.
It definitely does feel like that. And I think it'll be a tricky balance for the front office to kind of determine how all in they want to go. I think in his end of season press conference, Les Snead acknowledged it, saying, Matthew Stafford, one, is this next season could be his last season. And two, when you have a quarterback of his age and experience level playing at an MVP level, you do want to take advantage of it. So he did acknowledge that, there will be a split, whether it's 60% all in, 40%, you're kind of planning for the future, whatever the balance may be. I think that's going to be tricky for the front office to kind of determine. And they stayed pretty quiet at the trade deadline this past year, which again, some fans weren't very happy with because they felt like they could have gone all in, especially with the secondary. But I think this upcoming season, we'll see them be more aggressive. And I expect them, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I think Matthew Stafford will probably do a restructured deal again. Whether
we'll
it's
get to that later.
Yeah, to help the cap space, which could, get some free agents and everything. But yeah, I do think they're going to have more aggression this year and try to take advantage of the time they do have with Stafford.
Yeah, that whole situation was so weird because we were at camp. He didn't throw at camp last year either.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all just like, man, of course. Last year was my first, well, actually 2 years ago now was my first year at camp. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm so excited to get to go and cover camp. And then Matthew Stafford just like threw like maybe 2 days total.
Yeah, he would. I mean, it was. I remember. I think it was the first preseason game. He was like had a workout that day, which no one saw. Like media didn't see.
Yeah.
But he had that workout, and then Sean McVay was like, "Yeah, we'll see how he recovers." And then he didn't throw. Like, I
Yeah,
guess
so
he
it's been
didn't
a couple
recover that
years in a
well. He didn't
row.
throw again for like another week and a half,
It's been
and
a couple
then
years
suddenly
in
he's
a
just
row.
like out. So yeah, hopefully it's a healthy offseason for him.
Yeah,
So
it's
that
been a couple years in a row of him just not like participating
yeah,
fully in training and stuff. And it was even weirder this season when they were like, "Ooh, I don't know if he's going to be on the team or not" at the beginning of the last year.
yeah.
Where
They
the
were
people
talking
were
about
like, "Oh,
Jimmy
maybe
G
Aaron
being the
Rodgers."
starter.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, maybe Aaron Rodgers will be the quarterback. We're going to trade Stafford."
Oh
Like
gosh.
that was weird. And then time got to camp, and they were like, "Oh, he's spending his time in that red light therapy chamber. His back's
Yeah,
hurting
yeah,
him."
that
Like, and
huge like
then
hyperbaric thing.
yeah, he comes out and just wins the MVP. Like it was pretty random.
Yeah, it is crazy when you think about it.
And then if you were Les Snead, like what do you think you're doing at the quarterback position? Because I feel like that's a really interesting decision they need to make this offseason. They have,
Yeah.
Stetson Bennett on the roster, Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster for now. I don't know if they're gonna retain him. And then
Yeah,
you
I
have
saw a
so many
report
options.
just before hopping on this call. The Cardinals are interested in bringing Jimmy Garoppolo over there. So that could be.
That makes sense. I always think it's so funny that people just have jobs just because it's like somebody.
Yeah, they're like the
Well,
quote
yeah,
was
that's my
like,
former offensive
"That's Mike's
coordinator.
guy." So,
Yeah,
I don't know if they feel 100% confident in Stetson Bennett being the heir to Matthew Stafford.
yeah. I don't know.
Excuse me.
It's just a tough choice because I feel like there's so many different QBs coming out in this next couple years. You have,
Yeah, and this draft
Simpson.
class is not super deep at the quarterback position, as I think everyone's kind of aware of if you've been following outside of Fernando, who is all but a lock to go to the Raiders. There's solid quarterbacks, but so I think that may actually play in the Rams' favor. They can maybe get one in the later rounds if I've seen like Ty
Yeah,
Simpson's name being thrown around, but I don't see them using a first round draft pick on a quarterback this season.
yeah.
And
I even
it's also you could I mean, you never know, they could do another blockbuster trade next
like
offseason.
no one
Joe
knows.
Burrow's name has been thrown around. That gives Sean McVay someone who is already kind of settled and
Yeah, because I feel like
proven to be a good player.
there's a couple different like levels of quarterback that they could attack with. You could go after the like real veterans in Joe Burrow, or you could go kind of to the draft, or you could go to like a guy like Anthony Richardson or like Zach Wilson. That's kind of been like one of those like sneaky, like maybe like Sam Darnold kind of stories.
Yeah, I was gonna say the phrase I've heard now is like this next Sam Darnold
Yeah,
candidate, which is just crazy.
I mean those are just like the former first round like reclamation projects, pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah, yeah.
But
Anthony
I feel like
Richardson is a intriguing one too.
because those guys are drafted in the first round for obvious reasons. They didn't go in the first round just because they were bad at football. They're good
No,
at some
no.
things, bad at other things. But
And
I
yeah, and
feel
I
like
think the NFL development and where you get drafted to and the structure and the coaches,
absolutely.
everything,
I
that
mean,
plays a huge part.
look at Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell took in
Yep.
Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold, and
Yeah,
now
they
they're
had
both
Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold on the roster at the same time last year.
yeah.
And now they're maybe in
I
the
was
in the
looking
market again for a new quarterback.
yeah, I was looking for later round guys like Drew Aller, Garrett Nussmeier. Like those guys, I feel like they could kind of take a swing at. They're big arms, kind of similar play style. I feel like, but maybe a little
Yeah.
more mobile than Matthew Stafford.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
feel
know.
like those ones would be a good later round addition. It could
I
make
just can't
sense.
see them going with a mobile guy, like a hyper mobile guy, like Malik Willis or like someone like that. Like that he just seems
No.
too mobile for Sean McVay. Even though I'd be
Yeah.
different, like I feel like he kind of just wants to keep his same system and just like slightly change who they have under center.
Yeah, let the playmaker. Yeah, I mean, you have Puka and other playmakers. Let them handle that aspect of things, and yeah, you just kind of want your quarterback to be the orchestrator of the offense.
Yeah, and for those making mock drafts, I always like to say I have a list of traits that the Rams like. They like high IQ players, high motor, don't necessarily have to test the best, and they like to have just like good sound players. Like, and look at
Mhm.
Quentin Lake. Quentin Lake wasn't like the highest drafted guy, but good football IQ, good tackling, smart. And what else could you want? And they just have adapted
Exactly.
him to that system.
Yeah, and I think, hey, Quentin Lake, the Rams don't usually give long-term extensions or, contract extensions to their secondary players. And he was a captain and got one. So
Yeah.
shows their
Speaking of
value.
secondary players, that's another whole offseason thing they need to tackle is the secondary. I mean, they have Cameron Curl, Roger McCreary, Witherspoon. All those guys are on expiring contracts. So I feel like
Kobe Durant too.
Kobe Durant. So I feel like they need to do. I feel like if I was in the GM chair, we need to kind of just like half re-sign those guys and then the other half to the draft, because I feel like you need to have a mix of veterans. There was a time for, I think it was the last season, that I think it was like Quentin Lake was one of the longest tenure guys on defense, and he was drafted in 22. So it's like they didn't have really like veteran players on defense at all.
No, it's a young group, which it's worked pretty well the past couple seasons, but I think that secondary was the weak spot of the defense. And I think in that Chicago Bears game, I can't remember who one of them after the game was talking about, we heard the talk about our secondary being weak. So I think it's not necessarily a secret. It's what the other teams are attacking too. So I think that's a clear position they need to address, especially with all those free agents coming up. And like I was saying, they don't typically like to overpay since Jalen Ramsey really overpay for a star safety or cornerback. But I think maybe if they are thinking about going all in, that is something that we could see them do a little bit differently.
Yeah. I feel like that was kind of the philosophy
a
with
couple
Aaron
seasons.
Donald, because then he could get to the quarterback. You wouldn't even need a good secondary. The last time I remember them like having a pretty good secondary is when it was Ramsey and Darius Williams in 2020 and 2021. Like, that was the last time I remember them being like, we have like a good secondary here.
Yeah.
I can't really think of any other time where they were like every single member of the secondary was that good. Like Nick Scott was pretty good. He was another like, this is when they made their roster construction out of like 6th and 7th round players. And that's what I asked a lot of the guys at camp, because I was like, as a later round player, you see all of these guys, and even undrafted, the whole entire linebacker room this past season was undrafted. And I just asked them, I was like, how do you feel as a later round player that you're able to come into the organization, get all this development and like grow and become a starter and, get an extension and stuff for the future? And a lot of them gave me really good answers, but most of it was just the coaches like believe in you, and they want to make the best situation for you. So they play to your strengths a lot.
Yeah. And it's kind of brings a like chip on their shoulder type of mentality, I think, which usually fares well for most players.
Yeah.
Another interesting too about the cornerbacks, the Rams also haven't drafted a corner in the top 100, I think, since 2019, which again, we can see them do things a little bit differently this year, because if they want to target or get someone who can address their biggest weak spot, that could like be where we start to see the balance.
I was just going to say, speaking of a chip on your shoulder, like Emmanuel Forbes, he did pretty well this year. I felt like for the situation he was in coming from Washington, like I feel like he did a pretty decent job, and I would like to see him around for another couple of years.
Yeah, I think Kobe Durant is a guy they should consider at least bringing back if they can get him for the right price. Emmanuel Forbes, Kobe Durant, I think those are two that stand out to me.
That's the thing too, is like I feel like you see some of the Rams free agents like go other places, and I don't feel like they do as well. Because like in the past, like Corey Littleton, like there's some of the guys, even like Troy Reader when he went to the Chargers, like some of those guys just like go other places with that, like the system and everything are not like as suited for them, and they just don't do as well. Like even Darius Williams with the Jaguars, like I don't feel like that was really a success either.
No, and I think it'll be interesting to see, like with Chris Shula coming back. I think that helps with consistency, obviously, but it'll be interesting to see too how they keep the personnel.
I know, it was so weird. All offseason we're like, Chris Shula is going to the Dolphins or the Steelers. He's gone. He's good as gone, and then he's just like, oh, wrong coordinator got poached.
I know, which people were saying after that Seahawks game, that performance kind of may have changed things. I don't know. I'm not obviously involved in those coaching discussions,
we're not insiders here.
No, but I mean, I'm happy to see him come back. I think he's a great defensive coordinator, and you don't let
I'm
towards
sure
the end of
Sean
the
McVay's
season how you
used to it
feel,
by
but
now. He loses a
yeah.
guy like every other year at least.
Yeah,
So.
as offensive coordinator, it's like an internship program, it's just one
And
comes
I'm
in,
sure
they
Nate
get
Schnoff
hired
is
somewhere
going to
else.
be out of there next year too. So he's
Yeah.
he's ready to be promoted, I'm sure. It's like as
Yeah, I
soon as you
mean,
get that job, you're like,
he was getting head coaches interviews.
yeah. I mean,
So
you work with Sean McVay, you get it's the fast track to a head coach in the NFL. That's pretty much
exactly.
it. And then moving on to the Chargers a little bit, does this feel like kind of just a fresh start? Because I feel like in my perspective, it feels like they're getting both of their tackles back. You get like more talent on both sides of the ball in the draft and the free agency. They have a lot of cap space. I think they're third or fourth. They're in the top
Yeah, I
5.
think they're fourth most overall, which is interesting because they haven't typically in the past been a team to spend a lot on free agents, which similar to the Rams, I don't see the Chargers going like all in necessarily as much as the Rams will with Stafford, but I think you don't want to waste all of Herbert's prime also and
Yeah,
just
I feel
having
like
him
they're much
get
more
beat
of a
up.
draft and develop kind of team than the Rams are. Like the
Yeah.
Rams kind of just take from bits and places like here and there to patch their holes up a little bit, and the Chargers kind of just like do a better job of drafting and developing some of their talent and keeping some of their talent too. Because I mean, Derwin James, what was he, 2018, 2017, 2017? He's been there for forever.
Yeah, I think, and he kind of is also a big culture guy, I feel like.
Yeah, that's why I was so shocked that they let Keenan Allen go, because I feel like that's another culture guy you don't let leave your building.
Hey, but he came back. I think that'll be interesting this year too to see what Khalil Mack does.
Yeah,
He kind of I feel like
knows?
is in a win now mode, and I don't know if the Chargers are. I think they'll be obviously competitive again and make the playoffs. Hopefully, get their first win in a while.
Yeah,
but I don't know if that kind of fits Khalil Mack's.
Yeah, it's weird
timeline.
Because the entire season, like I was posting about stuff and like finding these stats where it was just like the offensive line was like the most terrible offensive line Justin Herbert's ever had, and it was like Bradley Bozeman was ranked like 35 out of 35 for centers, and like some of the tackles were like ranked 30th, and the whole offensive line, which was pretty terrible. Like I think the one good player was Zion Johnson was like okay. I feel like he was.
Yeah, he's a free agent now. This too.
Yeah, so I feel like when you get your 2 like all-pro tackles back, that's kind of stabilized it a little bit at least.
It's got to stabilize a little bit, but I still think. I mean, with Bradley Bozeman, he just announced his retirement. Zion Johnson, like we were saying, he was one of the worst in pass block win rate. So it's not like he's a super high priority maybe to re-sign, especially if they can get someone else in the market or through the draft. But I still think that's the biggest need, even getting Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt back. That's still, somehow in my perspective, the biggest need they need to fix because they can't expect Justin Herbert.
But I think they're just cursed because they drafted Herbert in 2020. They went and drafted like offensive linemen like for the next like 4 years, and somehow that's still one of their needs.
Yeah, I mean those injuries were brutal and shuffled things and everything, but I still think that's what they're gonna have to. They need to protect Herbert. He can't be playing with a broken hand again.
Yeah, so I think if they just give him like, I mean, Trey Harris kind of didn't do much this year, but I feel like he can kind of take that next step, next year. But Ladd cut his Keenan cut into Ladd's targets a lot, I feel like. But I think maybe as that starts to like, the Ladd McConkey will just take over more of Keenan Allen's work as he gets older, probably. And him and Johnson and Keenan all had like 700 yards. There was eerily similar stats from the 3 of them. So who knows what's going to happen next year?
Yeah, and I think that will be intriguing to see with Mike McDaniel too. Calling plays and see his scheme in there, because I think he'll do a good job of kind of splitting those targets and shares and stuff amongst the 3. So I think maybe it could be a little more keep being balanced, but also have the deep threats, which I think Johnston really brings.
Yeah, I think that he'll probably have another good year, but I feel like the real question is, do you re-sign Najee Harris? Because that's an interesting choice they need to make because tore his Achilles, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't really get a shot. Like he got a couple, like he had that incident in the summer of last year, and then
Yeah, a
they were like,
firework in his eye, I
back.
think.
Yeah, and then he played in like I think maybe like 2 games, and he was like starting to work back from the injury, and then he got hurt again. And he was a dude that's been like healthy his entire career. I can't even remember him missing much time. And as soon as he signs with the Chargers,
Yeah, he had like never missed a game before, and then this injury, which is just really, really,
yeah,
obviously never want to see an Achilles. That's one of the worst injuries kind of to see a player go through. Kim Vidal really stepped up too as kind of the secondary back, especially when Amari and Hampton went out. So I could see them riding with that 1-2 punch. Younger. They're still on their rookie deals. So cheaper, which kind of fits the Chargers mold right now. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them move on from Najee Harris.
Yeah, I feel like you got to give him a shot. Like if they can get him back for like a decent deal, like I couldn't see them like going for like a vet min on him coming off the Achilles. But then again, like you said, it's really tough for that specifically for a running back who's got to cut and move and do all the full work and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it also too, like you were saying, if they can get him for a vet minimum deal, I think it's not a bad move, especially when you have 2 younger running backs. It does kind of, adding to my point, it helps them build up and, teach the skills and learn the lessons of playing a full NFL season, which he didn't do last year, but as we said, understands the wear and tear and grind of a complete NFL season. So I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, if they move on from him, but at the same time, if they do bring him back for the right price, I think he would be a great addition into that running back room. I don't know if he'd be the second or third option. I think that'd be a battle in camp, but yeah, it'll be an interesting to see what they decide to do.
Yeah, speaking of what they decide to do, let us decide ourselves. So this is a mock GM simulator from Stick to the Model. Shout out. He built this like whole website. It is pretty insane that everything it has in there. It's a whole like you can do contracts, you can do cuts, you can do a mock draft like all in one tool. It's pretty awesome. Wow. So that being said, starting off with the Rams here, smart suggestions. Cut candidates. Kevin Dotson, there's no way they're doing that. Darius Williams, I could see as a cut candidate. What do you think?
I could see it, yeah. I could see that one. I don't see Byron Young getting cut.
I think the machine is not perfect. We all know that.
No. It's fun though. It's fun to look.
So let's cut Darius
helps
Williams
mentally.
for right now. Stetson Bennett, Davis Allen. These are all guys that are the 2023 class. So I couldn't see them cutting any of those guys. Restructure candidates. Stafford definitely want to restructure. And there's no way they're restructuring like they just signed him.
They just re-signed him.
And I feel like they wasn't Howard Jackson. So let's just restructure Stafford for now. And then extension candidates. This is something too that they need to watch because
that's a big thing. I think that's where a lot of their cap space could end up going.
23 class was, looking back on it, like 2 years ago, probably wasn't as impressive. But now looking back on it, it's probably one of their best draft classes in recent memory.
Yeah, Puka. I mean, Byron Young, who we decided we're not going to cut. He's eligible. Kobe Turner, Steve Avila, Puka.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Without a first-round pick again. And even Warren McClendon in the later rounds. I don't remember exactly when, but he's now probably going to be their future tackle.
Yeah.
So Puka Nacua, I feel like for now.
I feel like Puka and Kobe for sure. I don't think Devontae they'll extend just with him being.
They're projecting that he gets a $42 million a year contract in the same vein as Chase Brown and Lamb. That's pretty fair, I feel like.
Yeah.
Total deal of $174.8 million over 5 years. There we go. Extend and restructure. Kobe Turner. I feel like that's another culture guy, like you were saying. Like you want to keep this dude around.
Yeah.
Really nice guy.
They'll want to keep him.
Extend and restructure.
Great singer.
Great singer. That's another reason. They don't have that on here, though, I don't think.
No bonus points. I do think also another cut candidate could be Tutu Atwell. I think
Tutu Atwell is expiring, I believe.
Oh, he is?
I don't think he's even on here. Yeah, he's just a free agent. Period. Yeah, because he was a free agent last year, and they signed him to a 1-year deal, and then did nothing with him. I don't understand.
Oh, it was a 1-year deal. I thought it was a 2-year deal, but yeah, I think they'll let him go. Then I guess that doesn't factor into the.
He's so forgettable. You didn't even know he was on the team or not.
No, I swear it was a 2-year deal, but I was wrong.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
and previous APY $10 million a year. What are they projecting for him? A $4 million deal. So he tanked his value a little bit.
Yeah, and I think with the Rams have Xavier Smith and Mumfield, who we didn't see much, but I think they are high on him. I think
they're going to end up drafting a wide receiver and a running back in every single draft. It feels like.
Yeah, running back. I see later round again.
Yeah, who knows? Cameron Curl. I feel like this is a guy you need to re-sign.
Yeah,
definitely. He was actually one of the guys I wrote about a couple years ago that was like, this is a guy from Washington that you can get for cheap and it's going to fit exactly in. And that's exactly what they did. They got him for pretty cheap. I feel like you can give him like a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
Extra 2 years. Jimmy G. I think we're going to let Jimmy G go. Same thing with Akel Witherspoon. He's getting too old. He got hurt a couple times.
I think the one
DJ Humphries. Yeah, no. Havenstein is retiring.
I could see Higbee.
That's another guy I feel like you got to keep around.
I wouldn't be surprised if they move on from him. I know he's a big culture guy, but I think they've used a lot of tight ends. But I don't know. I think towards the later half of the season, we saw them use Colby Parkinson a lot more in.
Yeah, they did.
And then they have Terrence Ferguson.
Yeah, he was a guy that I saw them bring. He was much more of a blocker than the other two, I feel like.
Yeah.
So I think we can give him a 1 year.
1 year. I like it.
1 year. Then he might retire because he's 2016. So he's getting up there in age too.
Yeah. And he had an injury.
Nick Van Keir Thomas. I feel like all these guys can go. Xavier Smith. I feel like we got to bring in Xavier Smith back, even though I've seen so much hate for my man Xavier Smith.
Yeah, after that,
I feel like
it's a tough one to come back from.
Kobe Durant's another interesting one because he's coming off his rookie deal here.
Yeah, I think they'll try to bring him back.
How much cap space do they have left technically here? They have $47 million. So yeah, let's let Kobe Durant go for now. Then you can always sign him in the next section, and then Mevis. We need to keep Mevis.
I was gonna say, can't let the kicker go.
Oh, here we go. We have to tag him. No, we're not tagging him. Okay, we'll see if we can keep him in the next section. Jake McQuaid, another one that was another weird thing that happened this year where they brought back Jake McQuaid.
Yeah.
Seattle offers Zach Charbonnet. Yeah, I don't think they would.
I was gonna say that's surprising.
Nick Herbig, David Montgomery, that I could see because I've heard he doesn't want to be.
He was unhappy. I remember at the end of their season.
Josh Downs is another guy I could see them targeting for like a deep threat. Cashman, no, we're gonna skip the trades for now. RFA tenders, Nick Hampton and Keir Thomas. This is another thing that is like really complex that I personally don't understand. It's like you can choose to place a first or second round tag or the original round tag. And then if another team poaches them, they have to give you a pick based on what other tag you put on them, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, the lawyers who deal with NFL contracts are very smart. There are so many nuances.
There's so many different things, so much different language. Like, I try to understand the base of it just so that, I'm not totally clueless, but then I find out something new like every year, I felt like.
Yeah.
There's all these void years and like, it's just like the whole Ohtani contract where there's half of it's just backloaded.
Half of it, 99% of it is deferred.
So here we have Kobe Durant, Tutu Atwell, Havenstein. This is the exclusive rights. So we want to retain Harrison Mevis. Here we go. We'll retain him at the league minimum, which is $1 million.
Perfect.
He was very good at stepping in. I was surprised.
Oh, yeah.
I was just so surprised that they were able to get that level of like kicker ability from just a dude that wasn't even playing. Like normally you see them like poach someone in the off season that like was from another team or like who knows, but just to sign a guy like that like off the street and for him to go, I think he missed like only like 2, I want to say, the whole year.
Yeah, I think one he missed was in the Thursday night game in Seattle.
Yeah, and I feel like he was just exceptional. I don't know what went wrong with Cardi. Like he looked so good last year, and then this year was just. I heard people saying it was maybe because of that knuckleball that they were having him kick, that
Oh,
it messed him up in his like routine or what, but who knows. But they just had to rehaul that whole special teams unit,
yeah.
got rid of everybody except for Ethan Evans. Shout out Ethan Evans. So here we go to the normal free agents that aren't teamed. Debo Samuel, Dallas Goedert, Bush, Bosa, Wan'Dale Robinson, Alec Pierce. This is where I feel like they could go, but I don't see them signing one of the top wide receivers in free agency.
No, especially with Puka, Devontae, and
Because I feel like Alec Pierce could go well. Everyone says Alec Pierce could go well in their offense, but Alec Pierce has been a really good deep threat for the Colts for the past couple of years.
yeah.
I heard people say Mike Evans, which I can't really see him leaving Tampa Bay.
No, I saw something today that on his list, obviously it's like contender, blah, 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 but he also wants like a high share of targets, which I think the Rams can't necessarily promise with Puka and Devontae. And
so there's a couple guys when I've been doing this, just for mocks and like stuff. There's a couple guys that I've seen is Jamel Dean. He's a guy I feel like they could sign. Alontae Taylor, Ivan Pace too at linebacker, because I feel like they could do with another good cover linebacker. Doesn't hurt.
I thought Nick Hampton did really well. Or sorry, not Nick Hampton, Nate Landman.
Same room, same position. So Jamel Dean, 2 years for $7.6 million. I feel like that's a pretty decent contract. And then just looking at their positions of need, I feel like they might need it just another like sneaky safety like Cam Curl was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Just someone that you can just deploy in like some of those different packages that they do when they go into like nickel and dime. I feel like a guy like Cisco honestly might be. Let's see what Cisco would be. 1 year. Let's do it. Still have 35 left.
Wow.
See, this is what I wonder sometimes if GMs and like when they do the draft, if they just have like a fantasy, like
a portal like this up.
Like this. Just exactly like this.
Yeah. Hey, they probably do have some sort of internal system they use.
Terrell Burgess, look at that. I know that name. So let's just continue to draft for now. Let's do quick draft or full draft, and then we'll slide this guy up. So this is just an all-in-one simulator. You get it all.
Oh, whoa.
We're at 13 here. Spencer Phantom, Mekhi Lemon. I've seen a lot of Mekhi Lemon to the Rams.
I've seen a lot of Mekhi Lemon. I think he would be great in their defense too. I mean, yeah, as a USC alum, I would be happy with him staying in LA. He's from Southern California too, so right up his alley.
Those kind of stories, just look at Quentin Lake. Can happen.
Exactly.
I think if you're at 13 and Delane is already taken, I think you honestly got to go either Styles or Lemon here.
Yeah, I would go Lemon.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it. Ooh, see? I don't know why they do this every year, I feel like. I don't know why the Ty Simpson in the first round agenda is.
I don't think they're going to take Ty Simpson.
I don't know why he's ranked at 23 because I don't feel like any part of his game is particularly that impressive.
No.
I think, honestly, you might want to go Sis here.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I've seen people saying that they should double dip on the corners in the first round. How do you feel about that?
I don't think they will or should.
I don't think they will either. I feel like Sean McVay physically won't be able to pass upon an offensive weapon in the first round.
Yeah, and I don't think they want it. They're going to have two of the same. Yeah, I don't think so.
I feel like you got to go interior offensive line. Coach said last year in camp where they were just like, you need to have at least like, I think it was like 7, he said, capable offensive linemen because someone's going to go down in the season. You need to be able to find someone that can fill in that gap. And that's what happened to them. They got, Havenstein go down when McLendon filled in really well.
Yeah.
DJ Humphries, I don't know if he filled in really well, but
he
was there.
He did good enough.
Yeah. Emmett Johnson actually tested really good. I saw at the combine.
Imagine if the real draft was this fast.
They're definitely going to go wide. So this is 167. So that's from the 3rd round, I think now. See, there's a guy like Sawyer Robertson, Klubnik even.
Diego Pavia.
I don't think.
No, they're not taking him. They're not taking him.
We're not taking him.
Funny.
That's not the kind of quarterback.
No.
I really liked, like last year, I was just watching like ESPN one night and Boston College came on. They were playing Florida State. And I really like Castellanos. I don't know if he's going to turn into something good in the NFL, but I feel like he was a pretty like good quarterback.
Good
from
quarterback.
what
Yeah,
I know.
yeah. I remember watching him.
I think we can go Klubnik here.
What is this? 206?
O tackle safety. So they say the Rams needs are O tackle, safety, linebacker, and D line. I don't think they need an O tackle really. Everyone thinks they do, but I think only for depth. I mean, you can't go wrong with the
First one.
Wisconsin guy. I haven't even looked at it, but the Wisconsin guy.
We trust him.
Well, they have two
Oh, quick one.
back-to-back. I wonder if this is that doesn't look like a comp. It might be a comp pick. They love getting
Yeah.
those comp picks.
I'm trying to think.
They're getting one
I think
next.
they get one for something.
They're getting one next year, I think, for Demarcus Robinson. Or maybe it's this. Maybe it is this year. It might be this year. I know that's a whole other thing, that how they calculate that and do all those other
all the comp
like
picks.
a wide receiver. Cameron Ball. This is the part of the draft where I just haven't done as much digging yet. I'm just going by position. I have no clue whether they are going to be good fit or not, but we're just going off of vibes.
Just vibes. I like it.
We'll go tight end. Let's look at the tight ends. I feel like they could draft a tight end this year. Sure, we'll just take the highest ranked. I feel like that's what a lot of people do when they do mock drafts anyways.
Towards the end, yeah. It's like fantasy.
There we go.
Yeah, we got an A.
We have our depth chart here. Matthew Stafford, Stetson Bennett, Klubnik. Not bad. I would be happy with that. And then, yeah, that's a great group of wide receivers there.
Yeah.
This whole trio right here.
Yeah, that is scary.
And then keeping Darius Williams, Alex Johnson. Shout out my guy, Alex Johnson. Another UCLA guy. Jamel Dean, I feel like, I don't know how you can move him up, and because Darius Williams is two, but hey, the machine does what it wants.
For now. It's a good tool, though.
And then Cisco, yeah, I feel like this is a good visualizer to see like what they might do. So cap ceiling, total committed. So this is too many numbers for me. Starting cap space.
That's not the vibes.
Restructure. You're left with $35 million. So we spent like 11.9 or 11.2. Yeah, so we spent around 11. I feel like that's a good off. This would be a good off season for them.
Yeah, we can send it their way. Let them know.
Yeah, only 3 signings though. I feel like that's exactly what they might do. There we go.
Yeah, I think the most intriguing thing of this all season is how all in they decide to go, and what other star players are available for other teams.
Yeah, absolutely. So finishing us off, I like to ask this to all of my guests. What's something you've learned from covering sports, playing sports, that you feel like the general public can apply to their everyday lives?
I think a 24-hour rule is a good mindset to have with some things. 24 hours after a loss, or 12 hour, however many hours after a loss, you let it sink in, deal with it, let the emotions, whatever it may be, accept them, process them, and then you move on from there. I think that's a good lesson for a lot of things in life. If something doesn't go your way, or even if something does go your way, you can celebrate it for 12, 24 hours and then keep pushing forward. I think that's something that sports taught me growing up that I've kind of adapted into my life as a whole.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Never too high, never too low. Obviously celebrate, and it's not that serious in life as it is in sports, but just stay never too low, never too high, and enjoy the wave.
That's a great one. That'll do us for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on.